Good evening. Welcome to Truth Seekers. My name is Mike Fishkin. Seated next to me is Jay Saylor. We are in Portland, Oregon, Saturday night here, April 11th, 2009. Is that right?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to him. If it is, it's April 11th, 2009, Saturday night. So if you're watching tonight, you can call in if you'd like and make some comments, ask any questions. If you've been watching for a while, you know that we're about evidence in relation to spiritual and philosophical truth-seeking, a la truth-seeking. We think we've got the basic truth, but we're open to new wrinkles, and if you want to argue about the whole enchilada, we'll talk about that too. We do that often, about evidences. We came from places where we didn't believe this stuff, but we do now. And we, as you know, for those of you who watched before, we show film clips. We've got some film clips about dinosaurs. Is there any evidence that we lived at the same time, humans, that is, not Jay and I? Although that's possible in the recesses of the Congo or whatever. We've heard reports of things. And down in the deeps under the seas, there's been some reports of huge creatures. But in any case, did people live with dinosaurs? Is there any strong evidence for that? And other things relating to dinosaurs.
And maybe the biggest lie of all, Mike, are they millions and millions of years extinct?
That's right.
What is the evidence going to show us tonight?
Well, we'll take a look at that. And of course, we're open to any comments and questions relating to anything philosophical and spiritual if you're sincere, if you're a truth seeker. If not, we just cut you off. Not that we get many calls like that. We haven't in 5.5 years, and we're thankful for that. So why don't we just jump into this first section of film? It's about 4 minutes long, 4.5 minutes, and then you guys can call back after that, and we'll talk to you then if you'd like to call in.
You want to roll it, guys?
Everybody seems to be interested in dinosaurs. You can't hardly give a talk, particularly to younger people like you people, without talking about dinosaurs. And dinosaurs are just amazing creatures. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about them. One of the misconceptions about dinosaurs is that people think just the word dinosaur is a one-word proof for evolution. Ask people, why do you believe in evolution? The dinosaurs? What is it about the dinosaurs that make you believe in evolution? Well, I don't know, they're the dinosaurs. But what about the dinosaurs? They're old. How do you know they're old? Carbon dating. Oh, it goes on and on. So I just wanted to share with you some sort of scientific ideas that have been developed down through the years about dinosaurs and how dinosaurs fit into the Bible, and I hope you pick up something you didn't know before. Well, the first thing we want to deal with is what were they like, the dinosaurs? We'll address the question, where did they come from? And finally, where did they go? So first of all, I'd like to show you my favorite dinosaur. I'm something of an expert on dinosaurs, and I think of all the dinosaurs out there, this is probably my favorite dinosaur, right here. You mean, this isn't a dinosaur here? I've come all the way from St. Louis to tell you about dinosaurs, and this isn't even a dinosaur. Okay, that's my dog, but he thinks he's a dinosaur. That's Kedar the Magnificent. He's really a wonderful dog. Do I have an hour to talk about my dog before we get into... we better get on with... Okay, we'll get on with the lecture. I don't necessarily like this dog that much because I don't like dogs that are smarter than I am. Well, dinosaurs were first discovered back in 1820. There was a certain Dr. Mantell, who was an English doctor, and back in the 1820s, physicians visited their patients in their home. They made trips right out to the home. And Dr. Mantell's wife often accompanied him, and it was really Mary Ann Mantell who was kind of outside just looking around in the garden and what have you while Dr. Mantell was visiting the patient who lived in the home. And she found a large tooth. And her husband was a kind of a rock collector and fossil collector, and he kind of puzzled over that tooth for quite a while. And after a bit of study, he found out the tooth was pretty much like a tooth you would see from a large lizard, like an iguana or something like that. And so he called it iguanodon. That would be the name of this creature. Now, the word dinosaur hadn't been coined yet, so in 1820 it was just called iguanodon. Subsequently, several more of this same type of dinosaur were discovered in Belgium, in Bernissart, Belgium. In 1877, there were 39 such iguanodons found in the coal mine, and they were so valuable and so sought after that it no longer was a coal mine, it became a dinosaur mine. And the dinosaurs were found about 1,000 feet below the surface of the land in two different layers. They appeared to have drowned or to have been deposited out of water. They were in sedimentary material, and they were found buried in this water-deposited sediment along with crocodiles, fish, and turtles. The mine eventually kind of filled in with water, and they had to abandon it. Well, dinosaurs are fascinating creatures. Many of the pictures I'll show you are from the Dorling-Kindersley Atlas, which Microsoft used to produce a...
We'll come back to that in a second. I meant to tell you folks that the guy speaking here, some of you may remember him from the past. His name is Dr. David Menton. He's got a PhD in cell biology, and he taught, as you remember, Jay, at one of the foremost medical schools in the country, Washington Medical School, where he was Teacher of the Year one year. He's in medicine's who's who. It's, as I said, one of the foremost medical schools in St. Louis, Missouri, and we showed film with him speaking about the cell in terms of human reproduction and also the eye and the ear. And he's an expert in a lot of areas, and he became a believer somewhere along the line in Jesus and a creationist, and so he's talking about some of the evidences here for dinosaurs. Now, the reason we wanted to stop it so quickly was he mentioned there, we were talking to you about that before, right before the program started with Jay, that he mentions there that these iguanodons, if you notice, were found with fish. He's going to mention that dinosaurs, or as they were called, iguanodons, in 1820. The name, as I mentioned, for a dinosaur was coined about 20 years later, 1841. But so they're calling them iguanodons then, but they're land animals he's going to mention. So what are land animals being found with fish? You know, you can see they're fish, and yet it takes millions of years, supposedly, to fossilize, you know, these creatures in layers of sediment, and that indicates how old they are, because it took so long for those layers to build up. And as our cameraman mentioned here before, Bill pointed out, and we've talked about this before, there are so many things in error in relation to the fossil record. One being that he mentioned was that you've got trees that go through different strata that are like, one strata might be 20 million years and another one another 50 million years.
So they say.
But the tree went right through both of them. Well, how does a tree stand up for millions of years while sediments are going all around it? And then they find some of these trees upside down, which is an interesting trick, unless it all got buried in sedimentary water. And he mentions that too. Sedimentary layers are layers laid down with water. And so, you know, the idea of a great flood, which is what the Bible talks about, where all creatures were killed initially except for those that went on the ark, and we'd be happy to talk about that. That's a fun topic in itself. But so here's some, you know, some questionable evidence being brought into play. Well, what are these fish, clearly fish, being found in a coal mine 1,000 feet down with crocodiles? Crocodiles on land with land animals, with fish? I mean, is this a cartoon where they all got together to have a party? I don't know. You know, other than it didn't evolve the way it happened over millions of years, just like you were saying, Jay.